Awesome. Thank you for the introduction there, Tina. So yeah, as it got introduced, I'm Charlotte and I am based in lovely Wanaka in New Zealand. So I'm just going to start by sharing my screen here because I've just got a presentation. I'll get started. Alrighty. So yes, so for just a brief overview for those who didn't join us last week or don't know too much about ETG, we are a bespoke kind of luxury, all our itineraries are tailor-made, and we operate full service itineraries in New Zealand, the South Pacific, Australia, and Papua New Guinea. We have two offices here in New Zealand, one in Tauranga in the North Island, and where I am today in Wanaka in the South Island, about 1 hour's drive from Queenstown. We have two bases in Sydney, Australia as well, sorry. So Sydney and Melbourne, where Mike is today. So this is our Wanaka office, and I don't know if you can see the teepee behind me, but I'm actually just where that teepee is in the screen there. Unfortunately, the sun is not out, but this is our base down here, and it's a really amazing place to be based. Not only the location's beautiful, but it is a place where a lot of our clients come, and we create incredible wilderness and experiences for them that obviously helps to be on the ground and in the base. So just to give a brief overall, I guess, to start with, in terms of, I guess, just pricing and some little further general information about New Zealand itself. So in terms of pricing, and if you're have a client with an inquiry and starting off the shoulder season between April and September, you'd be looking at about $1,000 per person per day. And then in the peak season, that climbs up to about $2,000 per person per day. Just a little bit on each season. So the shoulder season, so obviously we're opposite seasons down in this part of the world to where you are. But August and September are kind of our peak winter months. And while everyone is not after a winter holiday, those that are visiting Queenstown, Wanaka area and Mount Cook region as well in the winter it is incredible for heli skiing, snowshoeing, snowmobiling, and just the vistas and the landscape of the mountains. It is pretty unique. The snow-capped mountains and these resort villages, well, not villages, sorry, more towns, is pretty special. And you don't have the crowds that you may have during that peak summertime. Within the peak season, obviously we have our peak festive season. So that's kind of, December, January time. And that is when availability is pretty, it can be quite challenging to plan an itinerary without a lot of lead time. So I guess my suggestion to you would be, if you do have a client wanting to travel kind of mid-December through to end of January, the longer lead time we can get, the better, in terms of we'll be able to, make no compromise on accommodation with availability and really just get your client's dream journey. We're still getting festive inquiries at the moment, which we're able to work through and work out it's still a fantastic journey for the clients, but there just can be some compromise with accommodation, essentially. So being a smaller country, there isn't, a whole, like, the number of kind of the luxury lodges and properties, I guess, is a little bit smaller to some of the bigger destinations. So that's just something to keep in mind if you are planning a festive holiday. I guess then going on to the length of stay and an ideal amount of time to spend in the country. So New Zealand's, it's not big, it's quite small. So the country actually fits into America around 37 times, just to give you a little bit of an idea. And our population is just over 5 million. So that's, I think, about half of the population of New York, maybe. So just to put it in perspective. So being a smaller country, it means with a shorter stay, that 10 days, you can still actually see quite a lot in that time, especially if your clients are open to self-driving, that's a really New Zealand's a great place for a road trip. There's so many great little towns to see along your journey to your main destinations. And it's, you can go from Auckland to Rotorua. That's about a 2.5 hour drive in the North Island. And you go from the biggest city in New Zealand, which is, I mean, about just over 1 million people, so not huge in your scale of things, to Rotorua, which is the geothermal capital of New Zealand. So two extremely different landscapes and regions within only 2.5 hours. So I think that's really unique here. For clients that have a longer period of time, I mean, we have itineraries that sometimes people are 5 weeks in New Zealand, and there's certainly enough to do in a longer period of time as well. So while you can see a lot in a shorter period, there's an amazing amount to discover if your clients do have a longer period of time, travel time as well. So just a little bit about kind of accessing New Zealand, I suppose, from the US. So there's direct flights daily into Auckland every day they operate. And so Auckland is kind of generally where a lot of clients will arrive. That's their first destination where they arrive into, just due to the direct flights. The flights generally arrive in the morning, so between 5:30 a.m. to 7 a.m., which means that you hopefully have a great sleep on the plane. You wake up and you start in your first day in New Zealand early. You have a full day to I guess to travel to. Maybe you're not staying in Auckland and you're traveling to your next destination, so you get there early afternoon, which is lovely. Or even if you're just popping across to Waiheke Island, a 40-minute ferry from Auckland City, it allows you a full day to just relax and get into the New Zealand time zone and swing of things. So I think that's pretty neat. So I guess my main focus today is that's just general overview of New Zealand, but I'm going to deep dive into something that we're all really passionate about as a team, and it's just our South Island wilderness experiences that we work really closely with our guides down here. So I guess something that's really unique and special about ETG is we are a smaller company, which does mean that we have we can only do what we can do with the relationships with the guides and our suppliers that we have. So we have incredible relationships with our guides down here in the South Island region, Queenstown, kind of Wanaka mainly, that can help create some really empowering and unique wilderness experiences, and clients can access parts of the wilderness that they didn't think was possible. We make it accessible for them. So I think that's really special. And I don't know if on this slide you can spot the chalet there, but that's actually Wharekia Alpine Chalet. So it's a luxury chalet located in, I mean, you can see the dramatic scenery there. It's pretty special. So that's one of the places we use. And I guess what's, again, and another thing about New Zealand and the scenery, especially down here, is when we create an itinerary, if you're arriving in Auckland and the clients are making their way down to the South Island, the scenery just increases and gets, I guess, a bit more dramatic as you go down. So the North Island is a bit more tropical. So you've got geothermal. There's some great multicultural up there and experiences. But the land is a lot flatter and I guess or sparse. And then you get down to the South Island, and even as you move down the South Island from the north of the South Island, the Abel Tasman region, down to the bottom here in Queenstown, Wanaka, the mountains and the scenery just does get incredibly dramatic as you go, and it's quite amazing. You just see it change and build up. So that's just gives you a little bit of perspective of some of the hiking and the vistas that you can get up here. So yeah, as I said before, most of our the experiences I'm going to be focusing on today, my kind of favorite ones of the region, are really easily accessed from Queenstown and Wanaka. There's certainly like, the Mount Cook region has great as well, and things like, and there's a lot of great other experiences in the other areas. But today, just to narrow it down, I'll just focus on this area. And those are just a couple of the ones I'll be chatting about. On the picture here is actually up on near the Tasman Glacier in the Mount Cook region. I mean, that's pretty special, right? To be able to go up with a guide, have all the equipment provided for you. It's extremely safe environment. And I mean, these guys have snowshoes on, and you've got your ropes attached. And I mean, to someone that may feel really inaccessible experience, but that's kind of what we do and love to see, is creating these really memorable experiences for our clients.
Charlotte, quickly on this before you keep going, how fit would you say someone has to be?
So not fit at all. I mean,
Not fit at all.
well, you want to be able to, go for I guess a half hour kind of walk. But what we can do is, if someone isn't as super fit, or they don't like really walking a lot, but they want to get in these environments, you can go up there and we can set up a beautiful picnic lunch. So you can have, and gin and tonic with ice cubes from the glacier, and you can still access these environments and still have a really empowering experience. But you don't have to be able to run a marathon and things like that. I mean, I certainly can't, but I can still so we can tailor it. Absolutely, it's all really tailorable.
And when we're thinking on like families, how young can kids be to kind of enjoy these kind of experiences without feeling like burden or like not possible, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, yeah, children, I mean, we've had kids, six 5 or 6 kind of do this, and again, it's really tailored. So if you did have a younger child, you may get up on the glacier and just go for a smaller walk, as long as they're kind of walking, I suppose.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it depends on the parents as well. Some parents are quite adventurous and like to take their children with them, but the main thing about the guides that we work with here is safety is paramount.
Of course.
So we would always discuss with you and your clients about everything, and we would talk to our guides, and we would work together to ensure that the experience was going to be a great one for the family. The rafting is amazing I mean, you should be able to swim as a child, but rafting is a great family activity. It's so much fun. So again, it's just about chatting with you as the agents, and finding out about your client and what they are wanting to achieve, and then working with our guides here to deliver that. So I wouldn't hesitate at all there. So this is the Wharekia chalet that I just mentioned earlier. So this is a picture of it in the winter time. So just to show you that it's just as beautiful, well, maybe even more so with snow. But it is still, if you do have clients visiting in the winter, I mean, you can see from the picture, waking up there in the morning with the snow, and you're warm, and there's running hot water. It is really unique to be able to have that luxury within an alpine environment. And snowshoeing would be a great way to spend the day up there. We also, with our guys down here, is we would provide and work to have a private chef up in the chalet with you. So you essentially arrive, you've got canapes sorted, and you're just there to relax, and the chef prepares amazing food from local cuisine. And it's basically about connecting with each other in these environments, and just not worrying about anything. And just enjoying the vistas.
How does one get there, Charlotte?
Yeah, so it would be so generally via helicopter. So it's about a 20-minute scenic flight from Wanaka, or about a 40 minutes from Queenstown. So that's generally, if I pop back, so you can see that the helicopters just landed there. There is, I mean, if for clients again who are up for a decent hike, I'd say a full day hike, and that are quite fit, you can hike in, but
Mm-hmm.
it is a full day and it is quite a lot of elevation to
Right.
reach there. So
Right.
those would be your two options, but helicopter would be the
Mm-hmm.
um main option. And also with the chalet, so just behind it there's a peak called Dragonfly Peak. So
Mm-hmm.
what we've done in the past is clients will get off with the guide at Dragonfly Peak.
Mm-hmm.
The helicopter will go down with the chef and the equipment and get the chalet all ready for the clients. And then the
Mm-hmm.
clients will walk down with the guide to the chalet. So it's about a 45-minute walk down. But it has that sense of achievement that you've walked to your accommodation as well. So that's another great option too without.
Mm-hmm. And then when from a weather perspective, sorry, we have more
Yeah.
questions. From a weather perspective, January, February, what's the expectation there? Like,
So
what's the
those
weather like?
weather is really generally really calm in those times. So the weather, I mean, those are our peak summer months. So summer here is December through to February. And by that time, the weather's generally quite settled. And we hope to have, mid-20s, early 30s would be your kind of peak temperatures.
So 80s for
Um,
us, for whomever was asking, I
yeah,
think when it
sorry,
was you were
yeah,
asking, it's totally fine, totally fine. About 80s for us, I think that's a good number. And obviously, Charlotte made a point of like generally, because we were talking just 2 seconds ago how generally is not working as it used to be. So
yes,
generally the weather
yeah.
is like that. But yeah, so about that. Great. Fantastic.
Yeah, and what we do, so if we have clients that are doing the chalet overnight, so obviously if it's helicopter access, someday, unfortunately, with the weather, we can't control it, and it may be that the weather's not favorable for a helicopter to get into the chalet.
Mm-hmm.
So we would always book a backup accommodation essentially for the clients. So there wouldn't be if we can't get in, then there's always a backup option. So that's something that we're really cautious about when we do that, especially over peak festive season.
Right.
So this is just the chalet again from another view, which is beautiful. So the rafting is another really fun, empowering, and just generally a great experience down here. So there's lots of variations of it. So where I am based today, I'll show you in a little bit, but there's the Hawea River that just runs down here. So one of the great experiences that we can offer is a 2 to 3 hour raft down a really gentle river. It's no more than grade 2, but it's still fun. Like I do it and I'm just laughing the whole time, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really great. And then you arrive down at the bottom here and you walk up to where I am, and you have a chef that's prepared a beautiful gourmet lunch for you. And there's hot showers, and it's just a really lovely way to finish your day. So that's just the picture here is just on the river, just where I am now. And yeah, great for families. A couple, it's still a lot of fun. And you just go with it with your guide, and it's beautiful. Another way to raft is you can do it bit more like a journey. So this picture here just on the left is the Waitutu Forest Lodge. So that's actually located at the bottom of the South Island on the coast. So you can do a full day rafting down a river, and you arrive at your accommodation at the end. So it's
Wow.
just another way to raft. So it's a bit of a journey. So you're rafting the whole day. You arrive, sorry, at your accommodation. Again, a chef is there ready to go with all your, canapes and wine, and just to relax with a drink. Your dinner's all prepared, and it's a beautiful experience, a beautiful place to again reconnect. A lot of people live really busy lives, so it's just about being in the nature there, and yeah, really just reconnecting. And the forest is pretty amazing.
Beautiful.
That's another.
I'm just going back quickly to the glacier experience that you were talking about. Is
Yeah.
that year round?
Yes, so the glacier is there year round. So it's accessible year. I mean, in the winter it's a bit more snowy, I suppose. You'd have snow around, but the glacier itself doesn't go away in the summertime. So it's a great experience, yeah, year round.
Perfect.
And another way to raft for, I guess, more clients that are out for a bit more of an adventure or a bit more of an expedition, I should say, is pack rafting. So you can actually get quite small, well, they're not, sorry, that's not a good size. They're inflatable rafts that are just for one or two people that deflate, and you pop in a backpack with your other things, and you actually hike sections, and then you raft sections. And then the teepee just in the middle, which is very like the one I have behind me, is where, your guide would have that and set up for the night. So it's a way of rafting different portions and hiking and just seeing a bit more of the country for those that are a little bit more after a bit of an expedition or a multi-day adventure. So also a great thing about this region as well, and it doesn't have to be a big helicopter ride, but using a helicopter, you can, take a 20-minute scenic flight and then do some amazing hiking off the beaten trail. So a lot of the trails around here, I'm sure you've all heard of the likes of the Great Walk. Some of the best one-day walks. They are incredible, don't get me wrong, but during the summertime, it is busy. There's a lot of people on them. So what we can create is a really special day with your guide where you maybe take like a 20-minute, half an hour scenic flight to a beautiful ridge. You can land there, get off with your guide with all of the equipment, and you can spend the day hiking, have a beautiful, picnic lunch along the way at the most serene, picnic spot you've probably been to, and then get picked up at the end of it and go back to your accommodation. So yeah, I mean, some of these vistas and the places you can get to just with the helicopter access is amazing. And it doesn't have to be via helicopter either. You can, there's a lot of great parts of the wilderness that our guides know really well that other people don't go to, and have concessions that, to be able to access these areas that during those busy summer months, it's really nice to be able to go somewhere that no one else is. And that's the strength that we have with our guides here to be able to offer that. This is just a different view of the Tasman Glacier from before. So you can see there's, I think, two families on this trip with two guides. And you can see they're all connected with a rope. It's really, really safe. Have all of the gear, and yeah, I mean, what a neat thing to be able to do.
Very.
So that's another way of kind of the glacier. And then this is just another photo I thought was pretty special of
cool.
us on the glacier.
Yeah.
So some of the things that you may see.
It's really cool, yeah.
Yeah. And then again, another option, I think of what I want to get across today with all the experiences. These are kind of the general ideas and things, but we can make a lot of things possible. So another option, what we did for a family is they did this walking along the glacier here, and then we found a nice sheltered spot and set up a full big teepee and had a private chef lunch up there. So Fantastic. It was a multi-generation family. They did their walk, and then they came back down, and this was all prepared for them. So a beautiful environment to have lunch, and just connect with each other as well.
Yeah.
This is so, as well as, if you're popping up to going to the Wharekia chalet, the chalet I mentioned earlier, we can also work in, or this could be a standalone experience, but a helicopter flight to an alpine lake, which is called a tarn. So, and you can, I don't know if it's very clear, but those guys are actually in the picture as stand-up paddle boarders on this alpine lake, which maybe only a handful of people have done before them. So again, one of a really unique and special thing about the guides we work with is they hold concessions for certain locations and areas, and they may be the only concession holder, or there may just be one other. So I mean, stand-up paddleboarding is great. I have one and I do it on the lake here. But to be on an alpine lake in town with nobody else,
That's
um,
fantastic.
it is pretty special. And
Yeah.
again, you know, we could once it finished, you know, have a picnic lunch, or you know, you could have a chef come up and do a lunch as well, and just yeah, just be in an environment where nobody else is paddleboarding on a beautiful still lake.
Mhm.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, this is just someone paddleboarding on an alpine town that has
That's
a little
very
bit of
cool.
ice, so a bit glacial.
Yeah.
So again, that's pretty special. And what we've done before when we've been up there is or had water bottles, and you fill up your, because the water is just amazing. The quality is you know, it's actually quite nice, tasty water, if that makes sense. But you can fill up your drink bottle. We've had clients, yeah, collect ice for their drinks later on in the night, or you know, water for to pour with their whiskey later on, and they've collected it from the you know, the water that they've seen during the day. So that kind of, I guess, wraps up the main experiences. In parts, I could talk for hours on it, but I know you guys are really precious with your time. So we as ETG, we really welcome connecting if we can get on a call with yourself and your client if you'd like. When we're in the, you know, trip planning process, it really helps to get to know each other and the clients, and we really like adding that personal touch, so we're really open to and welcome it. When your clients are in country, we offer support on the ground via a WhatsApp group, so we can set up a WhatsApp group between yourself, the client, and us. Just gives that, you know, really quick turnaround with the communication. When we're pricing your itinerary, we'll offer breakdowns. It is essentially how you would like it. Do you prefer net pricing, gross, local, your currency? And we work with you to make it as easy for you, essentially there. And yeah, if you are booking multiple destinations with us, so Fiji is a really easily accessed from Auckland. So it's a great add-on to the end of a trip in New Zealand. For Australia, if your clients have a lot of time, we have a lot of clients visiting both destinations. But we'll offer one invoice essentially for multiple destinations, and we work super closely together. So we maybe have a client inquiry that's going to both destinations. Our team in New Zealand and Australia will communicate and collaborate on that itinerary, and it just keeps the consistency throughout their trip.
Charlotte, I know the answer of this, but I want you to answer this. What's the commission rate if you're coding gross?
So we generally advise 10 to 12%. Any more than that, you'll be kind of pushing above retail. So that would be our guideline.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And then if you were to combine, New Zealand with Fiji, would you say how many more days to kind of have a decent mix between the two? Would you agree?
For sure. So I mean, some people, you know, it depends. I mean, I would, a lot of places in Fiji, especially over peak seasons, have a 5-night minimum at the resorts. So that would come into play for sure. But I guess 5 to 6 nights at a resort. I mean, the likes of Como Lafala and Kokomo, you know, they're beautiful luxury resorts, and there's so much to do there. So I would say 5 to 6 nights is a really nice time. If they've got longer, you can look at two resorts. But just those minimum nights play a little bit into the planning of those trips.
Great. And you know, for the US, it's a tricky thing because it is so far from here to go all the way there. So in some cases, there will be some advisors that are presented with this idea of perhaps visiting two countries at the same time. And in this case, New Zealand and Australia. I know Michael's not a big fan of the two combinations. But if you were to do that, what would you say a decent number? Is it 2 weeks you're touching, like you're barely touching the surface? What would you say?
Yeah, I think what I mean, Mike touched on this a little bit last
Hmm.
week. So
Yeah,
I mean, you'd be looking at 10 days in New Zealand it's still quite it's very doable. So I wouldn't say any less there. And then I think Mike, you would say about 10 to 12 in Australia to really kind of yeah, to actually get into the destination and explore it quite
yeah,
well. So if they have the time, more time is great, but I understand time is very precious. So 2 weeks would be minimum, but you would look at restricting kind of the regions that you visit.
right, right. And then going back to the conversation that we just had about Fiji and New Zealand, what would you say clients like best? First Fiji, last Fiji? What's the best scenario?
For sure. We have clients do both. I guess Fiji, when you go to Fiji, it's quite you don't have to, you're relaxing, the whole time.
You're
It's
not
it's
moving.
so it is quite a nice way to maybe end your
Yes.
itinerary
Mm.
before you go back. I'm not saying that New Zealand isn't relaxing. But
No, I know
it's a
what you mean. It's more
different
active, basically.
holiday. It's
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah,
active here.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you just go and relax and regenerate, recoup before you head back. So I think it works really nice at the end.
Perfect. Great.
Yeah. So
I don't know if there is anything else that you want to add, or anybody has any other
no,
questions.
just just ask you. Yeah.
Yeah. If you
Did
want
you
to go
have
back just
anything?
quickly to the page that we just, yeah. So for the ones that don't know, we will be conducting an amazing farm trip coming up, actually, starting on the 9th of this month. So we'll love for all of you to start following ETG, because you can see some of the amazing experience that they're doing and how different they are and how family oriented, and just all the good stuff that they're doing, but also to kind of see basically live, if you want it, some of the things that we will be doing when in New Zealand. So I suggest and strongly hope that you all share this. Thank you, Michael. It is at the exclusive group for Instagram. So if you make sure to follow them, that'd be fantastic. Any other questions that we can answer? You were great, Charlotte. Thank you.
No, thank you all for yeah, spending some time learning about yeah, a little bit about New Zealand. I really
Mm,
appreciate it.
of course, of course.
Mm.
I
Was there
think,
anything, Mike, you wanted to
yeah,
add
I
or?
don't know. Michael was going to give you the floor,
It
actually.
would be nice if you could just sort of pick your laptop up and spin it
Oh,
around.
yeah,
Should I
turn
do
it. Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
little? Okay.
Yeah.
So just to show you, and it's not super sunny today, but this is the Hawea River. It's quite low at the moment. So
Mhm.
normally it's a lot higher in the summertime. But just an idea of where I am, and it's a little bit more of the teepee setup.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's yeah, surrounded by mountains and
so
some
beautiful.
some pretty beautiful scenery.
Yeah, very beautiful. We just had one last question. For a first
Mhm.
timer coming to the country, what's the minimum length of stay that you would suggest to kind of get a good taste, but also wanting to come back?
I would that I, I get that 10 days, I suppose, is really sweet spot. If it's a first timer that's maybe not coming back again, it is a long way to travel. So if they have 2 weeks, then amazing.
Perfect.
Um, Again, of course, we do itineraries that are shorter, 7 days, but it depends if your client likes to be on the go all the time, or they prefer, 3 or 4 nights at one destination before moving on.
Mhm.
Um, and again, if they're open to self-driving, I guess it feels a bit more like if you've got a shorter amount of time, you can see a lot because you are driving rather than flying from place to place. I mean, flying speeds up obviously the time, but driving you get to kind of see and probably get a feel for the country, and if you have a shorter period of time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Oh, we do have one more question. Look at this. No, well, that was it. Fantastic. This was super helpful. For everybody that is attending this webinar, this is being recorded, so you're going to get it recorded later on. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You're going to have both Charlotte's as well as Michael's information, as well as the rest of us here in TL Portfolio that we can answer. The one thing that I'll stand and share with all of the advisors that are on this webinar is that Michael and his team are amazing at replying within the 24 hours. And that's the one thing that stands out, totally when you compare with destinations that are that far. It's pretty remarkable how amazing they are in that sense, and so many other sense, but specifically on that. So if that's it, and we don't have any more questions, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you very much to everybody. And have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.